Welcome. This is Susan Harris, and I'm one of the 4 writers behind the popular blog called Garden Rant. And we were all invited to speak at the IGC show in Chicago about how green issues affect garden centers. So this video is what I had to say. And just a little bit more about me, here are some of the other websites and online campaigns that I've been involved with. And this is my own website and blog where I cover sustainable gardening, all the environmental issues, but I mainly teach gardening and encourage people to do it. I do that also in public appearances around the Washington, D.C. area. And most pertinent to this video, I blog and do social marketing for independent garden centers, starting with Mahoney's in Boston and Homestead in Maryland. And from everything I see, independent garden centers are pretty darn green. You sell plants that help the environment in all sorts of ways. I don't have to tell you. So garden centers are already part of the solution, but maybe there's more you could be doing, and whatever you're doing, maybe you could make it better known. So I'm going to show you 10 real-life examples of garden centers using their website and especially their blog to respond to environmental issues and basically just win the trust of the gardeners in their area. Now, one complaint that I've heard many times about garden centers is that you don't sell enough native plants. So sell as many as you can find that do well in the garden, then group them together to make them easy for the customers to find them, and then promote them like Mahoney's is doing here on the home page of their website. The flip side is that non-native plants are under attack these days, being called aliens that threaten to become invasive at any moment, yet somehow they're also not as tough as the natives. But we know that there are lots of tough non-natives that practically take care of themselves, the daylilies, the hostas, but they're not being promoted as eco-friendly, and I guess that's up to you. Now, when I promote these plants, I sometimes use the term self-sustaining because it conveys that it's not just eco-friendly, but also low maintenance, and I don't know, who isn't looking for low maintenance? And probably the hottest issue that you all have to deal with, and an issue you really can't afford to be on the wrong side of, is, of course, about invasive plants. So make sure that you or your trade association is involved in the process of compiling your state's invasive plant list. Then abide by the list and make that fact known. And your website's a good place to do that. And you're probably doing all sorts of great things for the community, but do your customers know? This garden center near DC shows you exactly which school and community gardens they've donated plants to and all their other good deeds. I noticed that they list social networking online as a community support, and I think that's absolutely correct because networking helps to make more gardening and greening happen. The same company also has gobs of evidence-based, reputable gardening information on their website, and this is something that every IGC should be doing. This one focuses on organic gardening, so they cover composting, soil health, all that good stuff. And the goodwill that this generates, it's immeasurable. People have told me that this company is 100% organic, even though they're not, and they don't even claim to be, but they have won people's trust. And notice on the lower right, there's a link to learn about their experts. So all the information about who it is that's writing this information, and that kind of transparency is really important. Another way to build customer trust is to personalize the company, and photos like this on your website or blog can really help. On the left here is the staff of a Mahoney's location that's near a lot of colleges, so a photo like this could definitely help draw in that demographic. And on the right is Mike Mahoney, one of the owning family of an 8-location chain, but no one's going to mistake him, for an anonymous corporate suit. And oh, by the way, 3 of these folks are contributing to their blog, and of course we have short bios online about all of our blog writers. Another great idea. Homestead hires local organic gardening guru Mike McGrath, he used to be the editor of Organic Gardening Magazine, to give free talks for the customers, and then I write up his advice for the blog. This story about his organic lawn care advice was so helpful that people passed it along, so it went viral. And that's the beauty of social networking, that if you create useful content, people will pass it along, and so they then become like your unpaid promoters. It's a wonderful thing. Here's another way that you're green and trendy too, by helping people grow food. So you're probably doing workshops, and I hope you're putting great food growing resources on your website. And here's a blog story about a local gardener and her tips for succession planting. Another example of advancing the cause of gardening is by supporting local nonprofits like Master Gardeners. So here's a blog story where we encourage readers to help save the Baltimore Master Gardener program. They asked us to write about their funding being threatened, and we were happy to help. This link also got passed around. And my last example is promoting local garden tours and maybe even reporting on them. And people just love it. I sent this story about a tour in Baltimore to the tour organizers, and of course they put it in their e-newsletter. Now, before I spoke to the IGC, I asked Garden Rant readers to tell us how they'd like you all to communicate with them. Do they want you to blog, to use Facebook? And how should garden centers demonstrate their commitment to the environment? The comments were long and truly awesome, so I hope you'll read them. Just go to the August 12th entry and click comments at the bottom. But there are 2 points that they made that I want to mention. The first is that they want you to distinguish in all your communications between advertising and advice. So your gardening information can't be infomercials. And they'd also really appreciate knowing who it is that's writing your gardening advice. And the other point they made was that the guy who works in this department can ruin all this trust and goodwill by just directing customers to the same old chemical products. So he has to really be up to date on best practices. So stock as many of the safer choices as you can and just promote them, not the more controversial products. So I'll wrap up by showing you where you can learn more about how to have a successful blog and social media program that will attract new customers and get your existing customers more connected. And I know you're hearing this, but it's true that it really is all more cost effective than traditional marketing. So if you'd like to find out more, don't hesitate to ask, and thank you so much for your time.